Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 2020 Lynk & Co number 100 Cyan Racing 03. So this now has 1,356 horsepower, 1,021 pounds-feet of torque from a 7.5 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine. Now weighs 2,772 pounds, has all-wheel drive, off-road tyres and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 2.936 seconds, 0 to 104.519 seconds, and going to a top speed of 243 miles an hour. So yeah, this is pretty impressive in terms of its numbers. Doesn't weigh very much as well, and still going to have the aerodynamic downforce that the standard vehicle has. So handling wise and braking wise, it's going to be pretty good, as you can see by the stats. The handling and the braking is some of the best that we've ever seen on a vehicle in this series. The launch is great, and the acceleration is pretty excellent as well. Top speed is obviously quite high, but we're not going to be able to get to that kind of speed anyway, but still it should hopefully get up to a decent rate of speed no matter what. So yeah, now obviously this isn't a car meant for doing this. It's obviously a car made solely for the track. So yeah, off-road conditions, whether or not they're going to play into this, we'll have to see. But the biggest thing with this is the fact that it was originally front-wheel drive. Now granted, the car that this is based on was all-wheel drive, but whether or not it was entirely then set up to be only front-wheel drive, we'll have to see. So yeah, I'm hoping this will be quick though, given the lack of weight, the huge amount of power, and the minimal handling and braking. So yeah, we could well have a new leader on our hands here. Came incredibly close with the MG Metro 6R4 a couple of episodes back, so maybe now is the time for the Hot Wheels 2 Jets to sink to second place. Guess we'll find out when we get to the end. So yeah, for now this is doing really rather well. 80 miles an hour down there. I don't think we've been that fast for a while down that section. And obviously the excellent brakes on this means we can be a little bit later braking into any corner. Get into any trouble, we can slam on the brakes and hopefully come to a controlled either stop or controlled speed. Get into trouble. Obviously this is also far more power than this had originally. It had 340 horsepower stock form, which, yeah, so more than 1,000 extra horsepower here, and a lot more in the way of torque as well, so that's going to rock from the car in that regard as well. But as you can see, excellent turning, just like the standard car did. Around a little bit, that's kind of to be expected given that this has quite a stiff chassis and the suspension is obviously now quite soft, so they're not really working well together in that regard. There's really no give in the chassis in this. Oh dear. We're going to use our rewinds for that. Let's use two of them. Slam on the brakes, get the control, there we go, much better. Obviously we now only have one rewind left, but what we need. Yeah, he's getting a little bit out of hand with these bumps and jumps. It's a little bit bouncy. It's always a little bit unnerving, to be honest. See, when you're in the air you have no control whatsoever. Down. Come on, final leg. Well, we're not quite the quickest, but we are far from the slowest. with a time of 3 minutes 18.966. So yeah, I think at the end of the day it was the bumps and the jumps that were kind of hindering us, because you saw it was bouncing around a fair bit, which obviously that means I have to slow down quite a bit, so it isn't going to be start bouncing around. So yeah, that is I think what ultimately slowed this car down, but no doubt that it was quick for the majority of that run there, especially the first half. But at the end of the day, the time still means that it gets into the top 20, beating the Hot Wheels Diora 2, the McLaren 620R, and it knocks the Lexus RCF Track Edition out of the top 20. But it is slightly behind the Porsche 550A Spider, which, yeah, that's now what's near 70-year-old car, as well as the Audi RS e-tron GT, the Nissan GTR Nismo, and fellow kind of racing cars like the Brabham BT62, obviously slower than, you know, rally race cars like the MG Metro, the Peugeot 207, the Subaru WRX, and the Sierra cars, number 23 Yokohama Alpha. So yeah, on the whole, a really rather good car. It just at the end of the day had the bumps and the jumps and the rough surfaces really get to it, because yeah, once it's bouncing around like that, you really have no control and therefore have to slow down to accommodate the fact that you might be bouncing around. So yeah, that means yeah, that we slow down a fair bit there, and therefore weren't able to be as quick as we could have been. But at the end of the day, that is a really good time for what is a fully track-only car. A track-only car that only had front-wheel drive and less than more than 1,000 horsepower on top of its original power. Yeah, on the whole means that yeah, this is done really rather well, even though I was expecting it to be quicker. But at the end of the day, we can't always have our expectations matched. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.